Good evening. I am Coach Vicki with Transcending Limits. For those of you who don't know me yet, I'm a transformational women's coach and I help women heal from the emotional trauma that has held them back all their life, connect with their own powerful inner guidance system, and really embrace and own the authentic life that they are here to live and own the purpose for why you were placed on this earth. And today we're talking about walking on eggshells. And I wanted to share with you my own journey of walking on eggshells, because it's only in seeing this, identifying it, healing from it, and growing am I able to be here to share and coach you today. So, wow, there's so many areas that I found myself walking on eggshells in. Areas, I think when we think of walking on eggshells, we typically think about partnership relationships. But I'm here to tell you there are so many more. If you're walking on eggshells in your partnership relationship, you're most likely walking on eggshells in a lot of other areas of your life. So, these are the areas I found myself walking on eggshells. When I was still married, I was constantly walking on eggshells with my partner, fearing that I was going to make him mad. I was going to, if I said the wrong thing, I was going to be blamed for something. If I tried to hold him accountable for something he said or did, then it became my fault, my problem. And so it was easier instead to not say anything, to keep the peace and to not rock the boat. And as I've learned from my own path of recovery, we develop those patterns to keep ourselves safe. So that was my way of keeping myself safe. But it also extended to many other areas of my life. So at work, wow, I had several bosses that didn't like to work with females in probably any role, but especially in management roles. So I was in a management leadership role, and one boss, it was very obvious he had no respect for women in management, women doing anything other than taking orders 100% from him. And so I walked on eggshells constantly around him. Instead of owning the creative business ideas that I had and wanted to implement and put forth, I instead shut down and just tried to do exactly what he wanted me to do. And you know what the ironic thing is, even then, that didn't make him happy. So that became a very toxic work environment for me, because I chose to not own my voice, and he was there to remind me that I was supposed to follow his rules and his ways only. But other areas at work were with coworkers who were opinionated, wanted to push their own agenda or their own way, and they became known that they didn't they didn't like how I did things or how I managed my business, and they made it difficult. Employees, I didn't hold employees who were underperforming. I didn't coach them to how they should be working and doing, because I was walking on eggshells, afraid or nervous about, wow, what if I make them mad? What if they don't like me if I speak what I'm really feeling? All of those fears were reality for me. Money, I walked on eggshells around my money, and I believed that if I didn't do the exact right thing with my money, it was all going to disappear, or somebody would take it from me, or if I got an extra tax return, my car was going to break down and it was going to suck away all that money. My own dreams, I walked on eggshells on my own dreams because I didn't feel like I was worth it, or that it was worth expressing it, or if I shared what I truly wanted in life, it was going to be in conflict to what somebody else wanted, and that other person's opinion was always going to rule and win. So why even share what I wanted? And then when it came to my own developing and growing spiritual beliefs, I was silenced and kept quiet. I was raised in an extremely conservative religious environment. And as I broke away from that and grow and got to know myself and to know my own inner soul more, that was out of alignment with what I had been taught in conservative religion. And I still had friends and family who believed more along those conservative guidelines. And so it became me staying silent out of fear of like, okay, are they going to still accept me if I voice my opinion? Or how am I going to explain or justify myself to them if they question what I believe now? So what I learned is that when I was walking on eggshells, it was easy to blame all of those other things in my life. It was easy to blame the partner. It was easy to blame the boss. It was easy to blame the coworker. It was easy to blame the other people in my life and say, well, if they weren't doing these things or reacting in these ways, then I wouldn't have to walk on eggshells. And you know what I learned is that it wasn't about those people. Yes, there are toxic situations in life. There are situations that are unhealthy for you that you need to remove yourself from. But we allow ourselves to be in those situations, and we make the choice to be in those situations because of what is happening inside of us. Nobody has us handcuffed to those situations. Nobody is forcing us with a gun to our head to stay in those situations. But what is happening inside of us keeps us in those situations. So my own lack of confidence, the patterns that I had learned in childhood of staying silent, of keeping the peace, of keeping everything happy and looking perfect, my fear of being wrong, my fear that I just plumb was wrong, that there was nothing about my existence that was right, kept me silent and walking on eggshells. So here's what I've learned on my journey of growth and healing is that the way to stop walking on eggshells wasn't to make the people in my life behave appropriately, to get them to stop doing things. It was to realize that when those people showed up doing things, it was a wake-up call to me that there were wounds inside my soul that needed healing. So I want you to hear this today. If you're in a toxic relationship, that is not a wake-up call for you to change someone else's behavior. It's a wake-up call for you to look and own that you have wounds inside your own soul that need healing and are ready to be healed. And how do we see what those wounds are? How do we look at those? Well, for one, we have to become willing to look at them. I became so miserable that I was determined not to live the next 20 years of my life as miserable as I had the last 20 years. I hit rock bottom and I was determined to bring about change in my life. And at that point in time, we begin to be willing to see solutions. We begin to broaden our perspective and say, okay, now I'm looking for solutions. When before we were only looking for people to blame. And as I broadened and looked for solutions, the solutions came. I had a string of coaches that came into my life that were powerful. Now, at first I thought, why should I pay someone else to show me things that I feel I should already know? And I didn't feel that I was worthy to invest in paying a coach to help me figure these things out. My inner critic said, Phew, you should already know these things. Why should you pay someone to do that? But here's what I learned. Paying someone to help you figure these things out is like paying a doctor to do surgery on you, like gallbladder surgery or whatever it was. Someone who's trained and knows how to do these things, knows how to be your guide along the way. That's what coaches are there for. That's what teachers, what education, whatever it is that you need to move yourself forward. When you invest in that, you invest in you, in making yourself healthy. And there's nothing more priceless than a healed, happy you living your fulfilled destiny and dreams. So as I invested in those coaches, I realized that you can't change a problem from the same space you created it. So I couldn't solve my walking on eggshells problems as the same person that was wounded and created it. I had to heal and grow into a new me. When you're serious about change, resources appear. So when you're serious about unhooking from the situations that are keeping you miserable, the resources appear, the resources of money to invest in yourself, coaches, the right people on your path to take you on the next level of your journey, the time to be able to do it. And then here's another thing that I learned is that hurt people hurt people. I was hurt at a very young age by the extreme environment that I grew up in that said that you have to look a certain way, you have to dress a certain way, you have to behave a certain way. And if you don't do all those things and do them perfectly, then you're not a worthwhile person. You're a screw up. You're a miserable person and you're going to hell. That was the messages that I create as a young person, I internalized. That wasn't my fault as a young person. I didn't invite those wounds. That was the responsibility of the adults around me who were sharing those messages with me. But as an adult, I'm responsible to choose, am I going to keep living according to those messages, or am I going to choose new messages to live by? And I choose me every day to choose new messages to live by. So when I realized that I had to go back to the root of those wounds and heal those wounds, and there is where I could heal this walking on eggshells. When I healed those things, then I could begin to show up as me. I could begin to be confident in the decisions I was making. I could begin to be confident in how I responded to the people in my life when they behaved in less than ideal manners. I could know, is it good for me to stay in this relationship or is it not? Is it good for me to stay working for this boss or is it not? I could make those decisions from a space of worthiness, that I was worth making those decisions. I was worth putting myself in healthier environments where I didn't have to always be on guard and walking on eggshells. So tomorrow I'm going to share with you what life looks like when you heal these things and when you can unhook from this emotional trauma and live your life free to be you, free to show up in this world as who you were authentically meant to be. Because let's face it, you didn't come here to be silent, to keep your soul hidden, to keep your voice from speaking. You came here on this earth to be the most incredible person you were meant to be. Your ideas are worthwhile. Your desires are worthwhile. They're meant to be shared, meant to be lived. And only through healing these things can you then show up and live in the way that you were meant to. Okay, I'll see you tomorrow. Please put your questions, your comments, your thoughts down below in the comments. What did you learn today that was new? Maybe a message you hadn't ever heard before. And if you're watching this on replay, put hashtag replay so that I can see your thoughts and share in with you this learning and growth journey. Okay, I'm Transformational Women's Coach Vicki Haddock. You can find me at tslimits.com. And I am here committed to helping you transcend all limits that are holding you back so that you can live the one wild, wonderful life that you are here and meant to live. Okay, take care.